Aloha, everyone, and welcome to another Tinkers Academy video. I'm your host, Kay Elmer, and this video, I've got Philip von Holzendorf with me, the owner, operator, guru, leader of our pack for Leela Quantum Tech. He's with me, and we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to use TraumEZ. So, Philip, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
And thanks for having me on. I'm
Yeah,
looking
this
forward to this.
Yeah, appreciate your time as always. I think the other two videos we did on TraumEZ was basically to explain how it works and then answering questions. So this one is literally the tutorial for it. Now that it's been out for several months and kind of just really to help everybody understand how to best utilize it because there's been a lot more information that's been added to the user guide. And so we're gonna go through that and then talk about the different features of the service because I think Philip, you were telling me, and I totally agree with you a little while earlier that like TraumEZ is this incredibly powerful tool, and it's kind of like it's this third thing that you offer, and there's not a lot of attention put onto it. I don't know how much I watch your interviews and stuff, but it just seems to be like this lonely little product out there that has so much potential, and it doesn't get a lot of attention. So I'm glad we're doing this. So let me.
Yes, I mean, indeed, from my perspective, it's the most underestimated tool that we offer. And for that fact, I really haven't talked much about it. And one of the reasons is because when I get invited to these podcasts, people always heard about Leela Quantum Tech, or like a friend told them about it, or they got a capsule and they love it and now they want to know more and all of that. So then I need to talk about that. And then the next thing they hear about is like the quantum upgrade. So we talk about that. And I don't want to overwhelm people or the audience by bringing up yet another thing, because
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it just dilutes about what we're talking about. And so the TraumEZ, really, we have only really launched and communicated to the existing community, and they know about it, but we haven't really told anyone else about it. And even the existing community, we haven't told enough, I feel. And that's so I'm glad we're talking about it today, because it really is so powerful. And I want to say up front why I think it is so powerful. First of all, because it really works. It really works. And the second thing is, and some people may not like this, right? And I even sometimes with really hard stuff I'm working through, sometimes also have like a little resistance, right? Because you do the work with it, right?
yeah.
But then if you turn it around, everyone in the group that I know of, at least, they've always been asking me since the beginning of the times in the community there, how can I perceive energy better? How can I practice that better? How can I connect more with my inner power and all of that? And one of the things is you need to practice, you need to do it, you need to feel. And this is a tool that actually lets you do that. So, because as you're going into these feeling like the heaviness of a trauma or something that's there, something that's blocking you, you you're doing the work, you're putting the attention there, but then you have this tool that provides this energy orchestra to actually really release it. So you have the help, but you're also working. It's not that you just lay down like for a massage and you get a massage and then you're done with it, right? You're at the same time really doing some work. You're really getting into the also the awareness of why it happened and all of that. And that is so freeing and it's so powerful, because that gets you further than anything you can just have done to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah.
it's honest for me. It's the hardest thing to try to use because there's so much to work through. I mean, and that's why we're trying to do this video, right? But yeah, I've tried using it. It is very difficult because there's no one there to guide you. Like if you were to go into a session with, energy workers or any of those types of individuals, and they guide you. You have a guide, for this one, you're just kind of figuring that out on your own. So there's a steep learning curve. But yeah, you're right. The more I use it, the easier it becomes. And again,
Yep.
and
Well,
then
and
the
then you
other,
have the,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
and do you want to pay 250, 300,
Oh,
400, 500, $600 per hour working with someone on just one trauma, right? That you may then release, and then
yeah.
you have 100 others or 1,000 others, and or do you really learn to get at it yourself? And as things come up, you're working with it, and that's really the trick, because you become an energy worker because you have the tool to
Yeah.
with that at hand that can actually release it, as long as you sit down or lay down and just dedicate some attention to it.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point because yeah, just seeing a naturopath is expensive, let alone energy workers. I mean, it is because you're using someone's time, but even more so though, I think just for me, it's I didn't really truly understand until I started getting into it that releasing traumas is it's not one at a time. It's like you just peel off the outside edge of an onion, and
Mhm.
just one trauma has multiple layers, and it branches off into other stuff. Because once it happens, you become sensitive to related things, and so it's just bizarre that because when I first started, I was really naive. I thought, oh, I have XYZ, so I'll just start working on this one. And then it was just like opening up the floodgates to a whole bunch of other stuff. And it was like, oh, it's not just a one for one thing. You got to keep working at it and working at it. So yeah, there is a lot of effort involved. But it's been very eye-opening to say the least as to my progress. I'm thrilled with it, and it also scares me because yeah, what the floodgates open, you never know what's going to come out. So
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. So I'm really supportive of this, and I'm glad we had the chance to do this. So let's jump in, but just to let everybody know, we're going to talk about that there's a 10-step process for using the TraumEZ service product on yourself, and then you have two levels of trauma. So Philip's going to talk about both your conscious trauma that you're aware of, and then we all have unconscious trauma that we're not even aware we have. We either brought it into our existence from our past prior to our birth, or even things that happened when we were kids and we don't remember it happening. But we all have conscious and unconscious, so we're going to chat about that. There's also been questions that come up in our chat groups about how do we help children, how do we help the elderly, how do we help people that are that can't do it themselves, right? And so Philip's going to be talking about that. And of course, you can use TraumEZ when it's running on your phone. You could use it to charge food and water. How does that work? And then of course that new service that's coming up. So we'll touch on that. So before I jump in though, Philip, on the main thing, which is using TraumEZ for yourself, I do want to make sure everybody who has TraumEZ is aware that Philip's gone ahead and had his team put together or update the original guide from the original time when it launched several months ago. There was like a 4 or 5 page guide. Now the guide is now up to like 10 pages. There's so much more detail in the guide. It talks about what I just mentioned. So please, if you haven't took a look at that new guide, the updated one, go to traumez.leelaq.com and go at the bottom of the page. You can download the guide again, and so you'll get this new, really detailed, updated guide, and also the updated audio guide that accompanies the PDF. Okay, so make sure you've got the most recent one because that's the one Philip will be talking through as we go today. All right. So, Philip, let me just kind of leave it to you right now, and let me tell everybody what's on the screen. There's 10 steps. It's like I think it takes up 6 or 7 of the pages of the new one. There's that much detail now. And then so I did ask Philip, like if he could kind of like, how do you simplify it? And so this is what he gave me. And so I'm just going to leave it to you, Philip. Now, how do you use TraumEZ uh, for yourself, for your conscious trauma? And so go ahead.
Yeah, so you identify and name the trauma, whether that is okay, uh, a specific childhood trauma, or you had an accident at some point, or I don't know, you're always, when you travel in an airplane, you start to have a lot of fear and you get a lot of anxiety, whatever that is. You kind of have really a good feeling for that, and then
Yeah.
so you name it. Then you you ask your body and your consciousness, how strong or heavy on a scale from 0 to 10 this trauma is. And what I always do is to really also say, including any emotions, attachments, fear, pain regarding this, whatever this is, right? And then that's your first task, and it's actually pretty easy. You don't need to brain into that or like have anxiety that you don't get a number of 0 to 10. You will feel it. It's just you will just feel it, and it may just come to you, and you'll be like, oh, 5. And I actually speak it out loud. You don't have to, but that's what I do. And maybe it's a 5, maybe it's a 6, and even if you say then a 6, then you may have the feeling, oh, that's actually an 8, or oh, wow, this is like, oh my God. And it may actually happen that right at that point, like things get very tense in your body, right? That's with very heavy stuff that can really happen, where you're like, oh my God, like I'm having trouble breathing. It's just like because you're right there, you're poking the bear. I shouldn't say that. You're poking at the trauma, right? And so it's visible. It's right there. Maybe it's a 9, maybe it's a 10, whatever it is. You list that, and then you stay in this. You close your eyes. That's an important factor, actually. You want to close your eyes with this because you want to really stay in this, feeling this. And so, one important thing is, and that's one reason why we're having this conversation, is that if we have uncomfortable feelings come up, usually our reaction is to run away from it, or to bury it, or not to ignore it, right? To put it somewhere. And I must say that in my early life, that's exactly what I did. Like I put this stuff anywhere I could, but I would not look at it. And that's why I had, such a long time of working through it since, I started this journey in the early 2000s, right? And oh my God, did I have stuff that came up, and I was thinking, well, I was done with everything, and then still stuff came up. So in this case here, you're getting this feeling, you're getting like the 8, for example, and you feel this tension, or you feel an uncomfort, or you feel a heaviness in breathing. Stay there, like feel it, let it come up, be there, and know you have this tool on your thymus gland that is actually, it's like an energy orchestra that is playing, that is transforming that. And you can even ask, then, okay, so what I do is I ask that this be transformed now in all dimensions, in all bodies, and in all times, right? That's, you don't have to do that, but you can just add to that maybe by doing that. And you stay with this feeling, you stay with this emotion that may come up, or you stay with it. But what you don't do is you don't hold on to it. Okay, so and that's an important distinction. You feel it, but at the same time you allow yourself to let go. And when you're stuck, let's say you're going from 8 to 7, and then you're stuck at the 7, and it's like for 5 minutes you're at the 7, as an example, then you are holding on. So then just say, we're letting this go. We are letting this go. But it's not like that you're ignoring it. You're still feeling it, but you're also letting it go. And then you'll see how it will move again. And then you go to 6, and until you're at the 0, right? And then basically, so we're at the point 4 now, where you're then basically done with 0, and then you repeat those steps by asking your whole we, basically, which includes your soul, your subconsciousness, your consciousness, and your body. And you do the same thing, right? This is the simplified version in general. Also, even what's in the guide is sort of simplified, because you could also go in more detail by going through each of these. You could do the body and consciousness together, then you could do the subconsciousness, and then you could do the soul level, and then you do the we. So you would have four run-throughs, basically. That's when you go at it in very detailed, could be used for very heavy traumas, for example. If you have the feeling to do that, you could just do that, right? I mean, that's totally fine. Most people, though, in general, and with most traumas, it's okay to just do it this way, and it's certainly the quicker way to do it. But if you have the feeling you just want to take your time with it, then you can do it the other way as well. Yeah, and then after that, you're done, and you could then check the next day, for example, or even right after. You can do this last step one more time, right? Asking
Hmm.
again, because maybe something just bubbled up, and came back in. The next layer of the onion showed up, or there's something that you missed, right? Or that you counted too fast, and then you'll just feel if there's a four again, or a five, or if you're still at zero, until you're really at zero, and then you're pretty much done with it. And so the positive thing is, so you're not done with these five steps, right? Because the important part is, and that's so essential in trauma work, really, is that you're then asking for understanding why it happened, right? So basically, step 6 I should have put there is that you ask your soul, why did this happen to me? What's the reason? What did I need to learn, right? That's basically what you want to find out. And then you sit back, you just wait. Maybe you see a picture, maybe you hear something, maybe you feel something, maybe you suddenly know something, maybe there's an aha moment, there's like, there's going to be something that is also practicing, how to listen to your inner God, right? To your higher self. And it's just listening, and you will know, you will get this feeling. And then when that is done, maybe it's like, oh, okay, because I needed to learn that if I shut off completely, it has this negative effect on all these other people as well, and I hurt them with that, right?
Hmm.
And then you're like, oh wow, no, and now I really realize this now, and now I just don't do that anymore, right? Maybe you don't bury your feelings anymore. Maybe you deal with them as they come up. That could be one of those things. And then the last step really is you ask, okay, so what's your soul's desire now? Basically, to make out of this. How do we move forward from this? And you'll also feel that, and usually it's very related to the awareness. To
Hmm.
give you this example, maybe you always buried your feelings, and now you realize, wow, this hurt my kids, right? Because I did so, I was so closed off, and I just hurt them all the time because of that. And now I don't do that anymore, and because I just realized that, right? Next time I'm going to be sad, or I'm angry, or whatever, I deal with these feelings. Now, what's the soul's desire in that specific case? It's just that you really deal with the things as they come up, and that you don't bury the stuff, right? That is really
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your inner core really wants. And then you got it. You solved it. You transformed the trauma. You realized why you had it. What a great learning experience. And wow, now we can move forward with this new energy to treat these things differently moving forward. And you'll see that that specific trauma is gone. It is gone, and you're not falling back into it. You have a completely different attitude to that. Doesn't mean it's not difficult when you run into these situations with, oh, there's tough emotions coming, or my mother dies, or this or that. Doesn't mean, but it's the way how you deal with it, and that is the key. So I hope people understand that, and you can apply this example on how to go through to any trauma. There's not a single trauma you couldn't go through with this, like that.
Okay. Yeah, just for some clarification, because questions come up all the time, but I just want to point out to everybody that, the energy, it's an energy and a frequency. It's on your phone. Your phone does not need to be turned on, so it can be on, off, or in airplane mode. It doesn't matter. But it's think about it as it's no longer a phone. When you're using it for TraumEZ, it becomes a quantum device. So you take this quantum device, it's got this incredible energy and frequency on it, and use that as a tool, like you would be a capsule, right? And so then the placement too, I kind of want to clarify for everyone because I clarified this before we started with Philip. I just want to make sure, the placement of your thymus gland is between the throat and heart chakra. So it's right in the middle between the two. So you want to make sure that it goes right there. And I did have a question for you, Philip. Like, how did you discover that that was the place that your body was? To me, it's like a portal, right? It's a portal of your emotional being, and that when you place that energy at that portal.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's actually something that Johannes, the healer from Austria,
Yeah.
set up from the beginning. That's how he set up the whole thing. So that's I can't take any credit for that. For me, it makes sense though, because first on the physical level, that's an important gland actually, and then energetically, it's right between your heart,
Mhm.
which is the most powerful area we have energetically in our physical existence here, and then the throat chakra, which is basically, it stands for expressing yourself in this reality, right? And if, because of trauma, often our heart is damped, and or we can't really express what's really truly within us. So it's I think a pretty good spot energetically in general for that. But you're totally right. It is, that's where if you put it there,
That's it right there.
it's sort of activating this process.
Yeah.
And then obviously most people don't really yet see energy in the way they want, or they can and probably will at some point in the future. So they may be wondering, okay, so why can't I just place it there and it just transforms all of my traumas? Well, that because that's not how it works. And it really is, you're in the driver's seat, right? It's your life, and it's also your responsibility. So now it's also free will. So if you now put your attention towards something that you want to release, that is coming up, and then now actually this energy can actually help you do that, right? And then you can go on to the next one and to the next one, and you're working on these, to be aware of what's actually happening. So that is why that is.
Yeah. So putting it here is real important. And it really does work. And so okay, so that's that. And okay, so these are the simplified 10 steps. The full 10 steps is in the guide. Okay, so this is the guide if you download it. So recommend reading through the guide, read the directions. These are the quick reference steps, and going ahead and doing it. And then again, like to your point, Philip, and I think this is really important, is you have to really work with it. You have to try it. Practice makes perfect. And I guess you let your heart guide the way, right?
Yes, and again, so that's the one thing. So we often have this resistance of doing something, or then we may feel like, well, but I can't do this. Like how can I now release this trauma, or it feels so heavy. How can I get it done? But know that you have this tool and it'll do that. All
Yeah,
you need to do is you need to dedicate a little bit of time, some
yeah,
attention to it, and the willingness to face it. Okay, so you man up by doing that, or you woman up, in today's world. Yeah, and now I need to repeat it like 100 more times, right? For
yeah, for the other
all the
69
100
genders.
genders we have. But you get the point. That's kind of what you're doing, and
Yeah,
what's required in the process, because we need to deal with it. We need to face
yeah,
it. But then, as we do, then there's the instant blessing, because it can go, and that makes us feel so much lighter. And you will notice, by using this on a regular basis, you will get much more connected with yourself. You will sense energy way better. And guess what? In After having done this multiple times, you'll be actually learning how to help others with this, right? And that's actually a thought I'm having, because we're still working on, the certified quantum healer course, where I'm the bottleneck, because we wanted to launch it already like 6 months ago, and it probably still takes another 3 or 6 months until we launch it. And I think another one will be, or that will be just like an add-on to that, is how to help others with trauma. And then this app can be used, and you can also really help someone, like the ones that just feel they just can't get it. They need to have someone to learn it, and then maybe the first 5, 6 sessions you do it, or for every heavy trauma you do it with them. Which also brings me to an idea that I have, that in the future I would want to at least 2-3 times a year set up a free webinar with everyone that has the TraumEZ app, to dedicate that to a little bit Q&A, but to a real trauma release session, right? So where I will pick a trauma that comes up, that is usually something that everyone has, and then we'll work through that together. And if someone already just worked on that specific trauma, they just can pick their own, and they can still participate in this. So that way it becomes a little bit also of a group effort, and we can exchange and all that. That's an idea I have that I want to do, because we should really talk about this more and help people use it, because it's so powerful. And by the way, I want to say here also, and Johannes asked me, so Johannes is not available for any private sessions or anything. So please do not reach out to him. He specifically asked me, he doesn't want to deal with any emails. He doesn't have any time for any private sessions, not even if you offer $1 million. He doesn't do that anymore. He just focuses on this and keep the energy running and all of that, and to keep developing it. So yeah, because we had 2 cases that reached out to him lately, and wanted to set up sessions, and he just does not have the time for that. And he apologizes, but he says, please, learn how to use this, and you'll be self-sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. But yeah, your point's really well taken. I didn't think about it until you told me just now that you're using this process. You're training yourself to become an energy worker, first on yourself, and then imagine the benefit you can have for your loved ones. Once you get really good at this, you can help them as well. So I didn't think about it that way, but wow, you're right. I didn't think about it. I am actually teaching myself to be an energy worker. That's pretty wild. So speaking of helping others, well, this segues right into our next update that's on the guide, is using TraumEZ for unconscious trauma, which is basically helping yourself, but you're helping yourself with something you're not conscious of. So can you talk about that, and then I've got here the steps for how to go about doing it. But for people that may not be familiar with what you mean when you put in the guide, what is unconscious trauma? How would what's your quick explanation for that?
Well, that's the typical situation. You're on I don't know, a tall building, and you get complete anxiety, right?
Mhm.
And you just don't know why.
Yeah,
Um,
I have that.
so
I don't know why. I'm terrified of heights.
yeah, and it
Yeah, it's a
may,
weird. It's
and it can have multiple reasons, right? It could come from a past life. It can come from whatever, right? Something out of the childhood that you just don't remember. You have no access to it. Um, Whatever, right? So, and you don't know. So then just name the situation. Just name the situation. And so let's say, okay, so
Okay.
this the situation of
Yeah, there's step by step.
always when I'm on a tall building, I get this anxiety and the trauma related to this, the trauma, the origin related to this. Okay, then you basically work through it the very same way that we just described. It's just that you go at it like that. And I want to say something important here. That's also part of something that we didn't. I don't think we put it into the guide yet, and we really should. But so you can not only release traumas with it, but also promises and oaths,
Oh.
and curses.
Oh,
Um,
what?
yes, but you would need to name that. So let's say you're working on something, and then you're working through the trauma, right? And then you still feel like a heaviness or something didn't go away, right? Then just list, are in relation to this, are there any promises, um, curses, oaths, out of any lifetime? Give me, soul, give me a number between 0 to 10. Okay. So then, in relation to exactly that, you will also get a number from 0 to 10. You go through the very same process. There's nothing different. It's the same thing. And then all of those will get transformed in relation to this specific topic, right?
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you tried that on
100%.
yourself?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's really, no, you just
Yes.
like,
It's wild. It's wild,
oh,
actually.
because
Yeah.
I swear I'm carrying a curse from a prior life. I swear, I have this really
There you
weird thing
go.
about me that it's, and I've been like, why, why? I've been asking myself my entire life, why do I have this weird thing about me? And I just swear that, like I'm like paying my karmic debt. Is that's kind of what you mean, right? If we're
Mhm.
stuck, because we're all stuck with karmic debt, right? From past lives, and you're telling me that we could use that, even because it's unconscious, we're not sure what the debt is, but we could like basically name an emotion that we feel or a situation we suspect of, and ask our soul, hey, is this a karmic debt? Is this a curse, or is this an oath I took, or and then use that and name it, and then walk through the emotional step of it, and then just so that's what right. I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yep, pretty much.
I'm
The way you
I'm
do it is
trying
this. So
that. Oh
so
yeah,
so in regards to this, are there any curses, oaths, or promises? You
promises,
can also then
curses,
expand
oaths,
it to
promises.
attachments, whatever, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
all of those, because all of those, will be transformed. And then you
Wow.
ask for a number from 0 to 10. So in your case, how great is that? You even know that there's a curse somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
that's already more than most people know for a specific situation. And actually, in the last situation I dealt with, I didn't know that there was actually a huge promise, right? I had no clue. And but then as you name it, then it just comes up because your subconscious, your soul is taking over because it's showing you the heaviness of that, right? That's why you're like 0 to 10. Okay, 0, there's nothing. Okay, yeah, okay, there's nothing. I feel great. I feel totally light. But if it's heavy, something is happening, you will feel it. And you don't have to know that that's a curse. You just list it and list them all together. Curse, oath, promise. Is there anything? Give me a number from 0 to 10.
Yeah.
You get a number. You work with the app. Go into
Wow.
0. Done.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. I never thought about that way. But yeah, yeah, okay, okay. It feels like a curse, but I know that I'm just living my karma. I mean, we're all just living our karma. But it's kind of like, you know, why does this life have to pay for that life? It wasn't me. I didn't do that
There
stuff. You
you go.
but it's like but universe goes, no, 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 that was you. And okay, all right, I'm definitely gonna try some of that because yeah, I actually can name it, because it's just
Yep.
this coincidental thing that's happened throughout every relationship I've had, every intimate and really relationship, and it's like why does every single time does this manifest itself, and Okay. No,
Again, now you need to report out in the
I've
group
got some
when you're done
unconscious.
with
Yeah. Well, I've got,
it.
it's like we're all of us are just, we're all humans, but we're also, we're all these, we're traveling souls, right? I mean, when you say contract or like oaths and promises, are you mentioning like, do you feel like it falls into the whole concept of soul contracts? Like,
Yes, yeah, and so
yeah,
contracts, by the way, that's a good point.
yeah,
You can obviously list that as well, like
right.
promises, oaths, curses, contracts. Just
Yeah,
list all of
soul,
those
yeah.
if you have a feeling there is something. Yep.
Okay, so there's conscious and unconscious. Follow the same steps, put a name to it, but it's not just trauma now. We just learned something new that you can get into your soul contracts, you can get into your karmic debt, you can get into curses and all these kinds of things. So that's really amazing. Okay, all right, so that's something new, folks. So give it a try, and and good luck on your journey becoming an energy worker. Okay, so now helping children, that's come up a lot, because obviously children are just traveling souls and they've been around a lot longer. They're just smaller. Is there anything special about helping a child when you yourself are actually using the TraumEZ service on another person? And this, because
Yeah,
I,
so
this,
if it's
yeah,
if,
go ahead.
if it's a child that cannot do it on his or her own, right? Because it's still too young, the kid is still too young, then uh, you you pretty much do it the same way you can do it with a cat or with a dog. And I wanted to get into that as well
Oh,
because
okay.
you can actually also use it for dogs. And I actually had a good friend that reached out and said, I've actually seen that my dog has this trauma, and is there anything I can do? And
Oh,
so yeah. So here's how you deal with that. You can basically then connect energetically to the dog and or the child, right? And you feel in, like you connect, and the phone of course will be placed on the thymus gland, not of yourself but the child in this case, right? Or the dog, in that area up there close to the throat.
mhm.
And then so when you then ask like the zero, so you name it then, right? Or you describe it, and then you ask the 0 to 10, and you're getting the answer for that because you're connecting. And it's actually very simple because you can energetically do that, right? Your subconscious right away knows that. It's just a matter of you getting some form of feeling for it.
Mhm.
That's another practice actually, right? And you can really help, and you just go through the same process, so it's actually relatively simple.
Wow, okay, I'm gonna definitely give that a try. I think the key though is like this is your response on Telegram when you were asked. I don't know if you knew I did that, but I grab your answers on Telegram for these decks. But yeah, this is what you responded, and I think you're right. I think step one is the key. You got to get good at it, using it on yourself before trying to use it on someone else. But once you familiarize yourself, then you could work with other folks on it, and you've now graduated as an energy worker. But yeah, that okay, so our animals as well.
I want to say here, because so the way that they had set it up in Austria is that this app, or the Traum easy version that they have there, that it cannot be used by, so if you own this phone, right, and it's your TraumEZ, for example, you cannot use it for anyone else. The way that we set it up though for our community worldwide is that you can indeed use it for someone else. So not only are you training yourself to really become much more connected and learning more to perceive energy, and yeah, growing into becoming an energy healer in a way, you can actually also do the work. And there's one big advantage that you have over anyone else learning to work with energy, is that you have this super powerful tool with you that you can leverage, so you don't have to do it all yourself.
So, with someone with traumas, they could literally loan their phone to somebody, right? To use it for themselves. Use it, like you to
Yes,
help them or
in this case they can.
wide
Yep.
open, wide open. Yeah. So that's the beauty of just the way you do business is, it's share, give it away, share it. help others, spread the energy. That's awesome. Okay, so that's how you would help um, people who can't help themselves. And then also here, the other thing that the TraumEZ service does is it charges food and water. So now I took this off a Telegram. Someone said, well, how long? So I just want to just make sure we're all on the same page. You said that it was 1 to 2 minutes for a regular charge and 4 minutes for a sensitivity charge. Could you clarify
Mhm.
what the difference is?
Yeah, so most people, if they don't have any food sensitivities whatsoever,
Oh, that's what. Okay.
1 to 2 minutes is totally fine. Usually with any foods and water and so on. But anyone that has little trouble with the guts or food sensitivity in general, go ahead and do it for 4 minutes. And yeah, that's the real only difference. Or, hey, even if you're not sensitive and you have the time, just go ahead and do it for
Okay. All right.
4 minutes.
So yeah, so you can literally charge your food and water. So now the proximity, as we were chatting earlier, is you place like in the picture right here, you would place your phone next to the food and water, right?
Yep,
And then
correct. But even if you're in a
that's
restaurant and you're on the other side of the table is your friend, right? I mean, his her water would still get energized by that because water is so receptive and the energy of the phone
okay.
really
So
goes way further. But I would always, if I really want to charge something, I always put it right next to it. I think
okay.
that's good practice.
Okay, so now what about other stuff? We had this question about, can it charge plants? Can it charge other people? Like people, plants, animals, but you're mentioning that it's purely just for food and water. That only has that much energy, right? That it can only go up to just a plate of food or a glass of water. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, you can't really charge metals with it, and with plants that's untested. So I don't know what can be done there. It's
Uh-huh.
definitely not programmed to specifically help plants because it's really targeted towards humans. And then in regards to the trauma release and the EMF protection and all of that, obviously that's for anyone and any dog and cat and all of that. So the toxin harmonization, same thing. Obviously, anyone and anything in that proximity then benefits from that. But yeah, we really haven't tested
Okay, so it's just
charging specific vegetables.
okay. All right. So tinker away, everybody. It's untested. Don't know. Okay. All right. So then the last thing about TraumEZ, and I just wanted to touch on this for anyone who did not watch the product update video Philip and I did a month ago, I guess, is that there's a new feature coming out this year called Vaxx Harmonization. So do you want to just mention it, and then I guess we're gonna once that product is released, then we'll go and do a specific tutorial for all of the steps involved with this. But yeah, Philip, did you want to mention that since we're doing a TraumEZ video? Like what's coming
Certainly.
out and when is it coming out? I guess is the big question people keep asking.
Yeah, we already wanted to release it a few weeks ago, and we've been ready since several weeks. But and the app is has been approved for the Google Play Store already, but Apple is still going back and forth with us. So we're getting like questions, and we're answering them, getting more questions, and so on. So I hope it'll be done within a week. But really it depends on Apple, so I can't tell you. I hope within the next couple of weeks we'll be done with that and can launch it, and then you will have this and then also the amazing travel function. And the way that this works here is that this is in regards to any vax you've ever received and any impact of shedding that may have happened, and also any like substance abuse of any kind, any drug, any medication, alcohol, you name it, all of that doesn't matter. You can basically go harmonize it with this. And right after you're done, you can actually also do a specific trauma release in that regard. Let's assume, okay, because with the Vaxx, for example, you're sort of entering a contract also by doing that, and it's traumatic, having received that. on some level at least. It could be way more dramatic in some cases and less dramatic in other cases. Regardless, it's a trauma, and you can work through that after that. But the harmonization happens first. It's about a 10-minute process, give or take. And there you actually don't need to do anything other than sort of name it. You place it on your thymus gland, but I don't want to go through the exact steps here. It's
Okay.
just super, super simple, because once we launch it, you'll have the exact steps there. It'll show you exactly how to do it.
Okay. All right. So we're just basically anytime in the next month or so, it's going to be releasing it. Oh, okay. So it actually comes with an app that works with the energy on the phone. I guess that's the best summary.
Yes, and you can
Oh,
also
okay.
use
So there's
this
an app.
for your friend or spouse,
Okay.
again, so which is quite amazing. And there's no extra cost, for this feature, by the way.
Oh, wow, that's
It's
cool.
included.
Okay, great. Okay, so that wraps up the how to use TraumEZ and all of the new stuff that's in the guide. Again, I want to remind everybody, go to traumez.leela.q or leelaq.com. At the bottom of the page, download your new guide. And of course, there's this audio guide where a person speaking to you, walking you through the 10 steps. So, there's a little bit of a companion audio that goes with the guide. It's got full detail. You can reference this video, this slide right here for the quick steps. And then don't forget, once you get really, get comfortable doing yourself, you can do your unconscious stuff. Then you could do helping others and so forth. And, when you go out to eat, bring your phone. But who doesn't, right? Okay. So thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to help us kind of, continue to work with this great product. And if anyone has more questions, obviously we're on Telegram. There's the Quantum Tech and also the Upgrade Telegram chat groups. Either one, you can ask TraumEZ questions in, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have the answer. And if you want to find me, I'm on the Tinkers Academy. I've got a blog, and also I have my own Telegram chat group as well. So thank you very much, Philip. I really appreciate this, and everybody out there, just work with it. Trust yourself. None of us know what we're doing when we start, right, Philip? And we just, we're just muddling through and figuring it out and trying it over and over and over. And from what you're telling me today, I mean, learning about these new steps, I mean, just the new ideas that you could use it on pets, you could use it on karmic debt and things like that, and soul contracts. Wow. Now I want to go do it more. So, but yeah, thank you so much. Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate your effort in regards to that. It's truly amazing also that you asked, hey, let's talk about this, that you help to get the information out. I think it's amazing for the community, and thank you for the community and to the community for being out there and again being pioneers in this. And I'm pretty certain that in the coming times, over the next year or two, this work will become even more beneficial for everyone, and then other people will need it. That
Yeah.
is very, very clear. So yeah, thanks for being at the forefront of this and getting more into it.
Thank you so much, Philip. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.